What I'm trying to do, Danny, is simply this. The Bible is written about people who were living, breathing, struggling human beings. That's what they were. And anything that I can do to add color to the personality of those peoples is going to help make the Bible come alive.
Okay.
And that's really what's behind this idea of 100 selected Bible topics.
Okay. So this says, what is paradise? Do you have some actual, do you answer questions? What happens, for instance? Because I'm sure in your case, what did you think when you were growing up, before you started studying the Bible? What did Marvin think of they said, well, you had to think about death, all of us do. What did you think would happen to you when you die? You weren't religious. Your folks never really taught you one way or the other. What?
Danny, you want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hope so.
I would have to say that I never thought about it, and I figured by the time I was 35, I was going to be dead anyway.
Oh, really? So you didn't really put any emphasis on... Okay.
No, it was live for today.
Live for today and don't worry about tomorrow.
No, I mean, like I said, 35 is ancient.
Yeah.
About double that now.
So you were one of the guys, just go out and have fun and don't worry about anything, just here. So
well, in the end, what you're going to do is hold your hands up and say, Lord, I was kidding all the time. I was really on your side.
Yeah, sure.
And hope for the best.
Okay. So topics like that, so you didn't wonder about any of those, basically?
No.
Okay.
No concern.
Okay. Wow. That's quite a mentality. Do you think there's a lot of folk like that today?
No, there's a lot of people
still
like that.
Today. There's
sure.
With all the internet and with all the communications going around, there's still people who don't read the Bible or they're still just like Marvin was.
I know it.
Wow. And this book is a good way to reach those folk. Yeah.
What I'm suggesting people do is very simple. There's a card in the front of that book, and here's the idea. The person who is the giver of the book puts their name and address on the card, slips it in the front of the book. And there's an invitation in the book. If you enjoyed this book or you want to know more, contact this person. And then it says, would you like to study into the book of Daniel and Revelation or other Bible studies? If you would, contact the person who gave you this book. So you can see it's a stepping stone from out there on. And my point is simply this. Think about it. When I got the Red Bible, what did I do with it? I put it on the shelf.
Put it on a shelf.
Anybody who would have looked at me in between would have said, he has no interest.
Yeah.
Why would you waste the money giving him a Bible?
Right.
Well, eventually the time came, the situation came, the Lord worked on our hearts, my wife and I, and we said, let's go out and learn something about this for our kids.
Right.
I'm saying that this book is a book that somebody should buy, gift to somebody else, and simply just give it to them without comment, put your name in the front, and as the Lord works on their heart and they study their ways through, then somebody else will step in, perhaps study with them personally, and just add another link to the chain.
Wow, okay. Well, there's a lot of different interesting topics. This one says, take the boring out of your Bible reading.
That's true.
Now, how do you suggest in here, without giving the whole book away, how do you suggest we do that?
Okay.
And why do people read something if it's boring?
Well, they don't.
Okay.
You just put it down and say, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on here. Let me just give you an example. This I think should help. The Apostle Paul, people will know him as certainly one of the founders of Christianity. Okay? The Apostle Paul was a man. He had emotions and he had trials and tribulations on his way traveling.
All right.
So let's tell a little something about the Apostle Paul. He's been arrested and he's been told that he needs to go to Rome. He's appealed to the emperor and he says, I want to go to the emperor and to plead my case. You remember the story. Well, in order to get there, he has to ride on a ship. And what you'll find in Acts 27 is a description of his trip on that ship.
Okay.
What it is, it's an Egyptian wheat ship.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right.
And in those days, they didn't travel by ship like we do today. If the wind was right and the weather was right, you got on a cargo ship and they had a big flat deck on the top of it, and you rode out on top of the deck, and at night you covered yourself in a little canvas tent, and that's how you traveled.
Okay.
That's him with his Roman military guard, and they get on this Egyptian wheat ship, going their way to Rome to appear before the emperor.
Uh-huh.
What's interesting about that, and I'll explain it in the book, Egypt is a place that's been conquered by Rome, and they're exploiting it because Egypt is very fertile and it raises a lot of wheat.
Mm-hmm.
So you've always got ships coming by that are loaded with wheat on their way to Rome, which the emperors sell to the people at a really deep discount to keep everybody happy.
Okay.
So Paul's riding on this wheat ship going to Rome. And it's that sort of background. Once you know that and understand that, you begin to say, oh, well, this could be interesting.
Yeah.
And then you kind of take and you spread out your reading a little bit. And I mentioned in there other books that you can go to. And in this particular case especially, there's a man who's spent his whole life doing nothing but explaining how the people traveled in those times.
What resources did you use to find all this kind of information?
Well, it's all listed as footnotes in the book.
Okay, so it's here. We can see that you didn't just have a dream one night and thought this happened. You can show us where you got this information.
Yeah, and I'm very much a stickler on that it's not what I say, it's what other people say, in quoting what they say and saying, if you are more interested, go and read this for yourself.
Yeah, okay. All right. Here's one that says no one wants to be a lowly Pharisee.
That's true.
And yeah, okay. Yeah, these are great. I mean,
can I say something about the Pharisees?
Sure.
I just have, my heart goes out to the Pharisees. They're not all as bad as you might think.
Yeah?
Yeah, every time you turn the TV on and listen to somebody, it seems like the preacher's beating up on the Pharisees.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a Pharisee. Well, maybe you don't want to be a particular kind of Pharisee, but we have to remember the Pharisees had a positive side, and a lot of folks don't know about that. It's all negative, not necessarily true.
What's the positive side?
Well, probably the biggest positive side is that after the fall of the church in AD 70, when the Romans came in, burnt the temple down, took the Jews and dispersed them, it was the Pharisees that picked up the pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And continued on. Plus, the Pharisees, many of them were charter members of the Christian church. Jesus converted a lot of Pharisees.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting.